One is customs officers to face sanctions if caught dealing with Goro boys. My problem is in the
first time
past. Exactly. And in the past, how have they been sanctioning them? Because then for you to come up with this, it means that maybe the sanctions you had been putting down there were not deterrent enough. And so now you're telling them
maybe
you
the man has just been
appointed.
appointed. So,
but how are they going to cut them?
The media will catch them for them. And
but I thought that we were told that we started the paperless system by 1st September. So where does the Goro boys come in?
Johnny, but you know in our system, people always find a way out. So I think it's.
No,
they found their way into the computer.
I don't know. This is the borders, not the ports.
These are the borders.
Okay.
So
these are the
borders. The Goro
boys. The Goro boys are there.
We will go paperless even there. And I mean, even before that rolls out, wherever there's a deficiency, we find a way to
so the Goro boys are the
in.
borders.
Yes, they are. So they take money. So what they do is in Safer, I hear they take about 10,000.
I see.
Yes, 10,000 safer charge by the Goro boys, and so there's some negotiation between them and some custom officers. And so they're warning that if you're caught in this act, then maybe you'll be sanctioned.
He went to the Paka.
So this is a warning.
Yeah, it's a warning.
It's a warning.
No, he knows. You see, he knows. Per the story, he knows that there is some relationship between the officers and the Goro boys. So he's asking them to.
It's just like you
should punish someone who's been
a naughty
caught,
child. Your mother says, "Coffee, my boy."
Yes,
you know. So okay.
Because I'm wondering how he's going to, because if I'm an officer and I want to go and deal with a Goro boy, I'm not going to do it in the open.
Of course.
Yes, we'll meet at certain places.
So it doesn't mean they don't know. They do know.
Exactly.
I mean,
so they should punish someone and make it serve as a deterrent for others. Anyway, but guys, it's time to run. But we're not hitting the streets of Accra today. We're ranting right here in studio. What are we talking about? Defilement, sexual harassment, and how to put a stop to it. Let's talk about it. Because we had that story about a 4-year-old girl who was defiled in Asin Adadientim.
Right, that's it. That's the Reverend Intim Forge was because we were told that the young man at the center of the issue has been arrested, and the mother of the victim has accused the chief of obstructing justice. Remember the earlier conversation that came up was that some deities have exonerated the young man from any wrongdoing. But we've been told that he's been arrested. So the young man who absconded after he was suspected to have defiled a 4-year-old girl at Asin Adadientim in the central region has been arrested. The suspect, known as Kwabena, was arrested by the police on Sunday. Director of Public Affairs, Dallas Police Service, DSP Sheila Abeye Bachman, confirmed to 3 News. Attempt to bring Kwabena to book were hampered when he was allegedly cleared of any wrongdoing by the god of Adadientim through the local chief. The action of the chief sparked public anger, with a section of public also protesting police's lukewarm response towards the case, even when the victim is fighting for her life at the hospital. When civil society and media started mounting pressure on the authorities to take action, Kwabena went into hiding until his arrest by the Central Regional Police Command. He is currently being held in custody of the police. However, information gathered by 3news.com suggests that Kwabena is a minor and may go through the juvenile justice system. So we're told it's 17 years, right? Initially we were told he's 18, then now we're being told he's 17, and then we get a medical report that says the hymen is not broken, and then whatever it is.
So
exactly.
Attempts at covering up.
The young man, 17, hymen may not be broken, no abrasions. Are you a doctor? If I touch a 4-year-old's private part, it is defilement.
It is.
Yeah.
It is not my business to touch her in any way.
Yeah.
At all.
So it is defilement. End of story. Stop this. No abrasion, no bruises. Hymen is intact and all of that. We are too smart for this. Stop it already. Stop it.
So trying to use the law to find a way out of it. That when there is an issue of defilement and rape, then you need to show. Like Johnny is saying, a broken hymen, abrasion. So in effect, somebody is being smarter, trying to use the law to get somebody. But I mean, look, we should be serious. If a 4-year-old girl is taking through this kind of ordeal, I guess there is something wrong with the entire society that those people live in. I mean, 4 years and 17 years, for what? Look, what is it for?
And right now, Senior Bright, you see, the question I've been asking, and last week I asked them, what is sexually appealing about a 4-year-old? Now the angle we're going seems to be, okay, there are 2 children, because under 17, under 18, and 4, they are 2 children. Legally, that's how they want us to look at the matter.
And so that comes to me what Bright was asking, in the whole community, why should a 17-year-old boy think for any reason whatsoever that touching a 4-year-old girl is appropriate? That means he's seen something. Something goes around in that community that seems to appeal to him to think it's okay.
And we are told that it is not the first. Exactly. There are multiple cases like that around their area. So the MPs in the area perhaps need a lot to do about it. They will tell us, well, development is not there, constructing roads and schools, but I'm sure speaking to your sensitizing people about it and educating them is your duty. We've been told also that the Minister for Gender, Children and Social Protection, after our call, has visited the place actually, even though belated. We're also told that the Pepperdam Ministries, they've also gone there too. So they were waiting for us to talk before they jump in.
For me, let us carry the conversation a bit further. Like I said, there's something wrong with the society in which this young man is coming from. Look, what I found out in upper part of the country, the Upper West region, is that over there, sex sometimes is not by consent, right? These young ones, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, they engage in that. When the officers who are in charge attempt at arresting these young men, the parents will come in and say that, look, hey, we gave the young girl to the boy. Do you know how I feed my daughter? Okay, and so they try to stop officers from actually prosecuting these young ones who are defiling them. So you go there and 13 years you're pregnant, 14 years you're pregnant, 15, 16, 17. And yet the parents will stand and defend these young men who impregnate these girls and say that, look, we gave the young girl to the boy, but she's underage. Okay, so I think that there's something with the entire society that we need to look at. Punishment, fine. Deterrence, great. But I think we need to go beyond it.
It goes back to education. What kind of education do parents give? You see, because on the larger scale, government or we cannot do it at all. So some of these things have to start from the home. What kind of education do you give your girl child and your boy child to make them know what is appropriate and what is inappropriate? And then secondly, what kind of conversation do you have with them such that if for me, because I grew up in a home where my father and my mother were very open about sexual conversations. And so if even I thought a guy had touched me in an inappropriate manner, I could go and suggest to my father that this was what happened. What does he think about it? And appropriately, what should I then do? But you see in our culture, we don't even talk about sex.
Mystified it.
Exactly. It's once she raises it, and then the child shuts up and contains whatever was going on, carries on, because the child is even scared to tell her own mother or her own father. Again, these children, like you rightly said, there's a man who's doting out some toffees or something small, 2 CD, whereas she's never seen that amount of money from her own home. And so she feels this is someone I can depend on, this is someone I can go to. And the person then takes advantage. So it's high time you empower your child. It doesn't have to do with money. Let the women in these communities, don't see it as someone is doing you a favor by sleeping with your child and giving you some pesos to fend for that child. But the child will still survive anyway.
But let me commend the Upper West Regional Police. They're doing great stuff there. What you're doing is that, despite the fact that these parents will come in and say that we gave the young girl to the boy as in marriage, what you're doing is that as long as the girl is below the age, the consent age, they actually will go in there and pick the case and follow it up. There's a classic case where a girl was given in marriage. She was below age, was given in marriage. She had scored excellent grades at the BECE. She was given in marriage by her parents. The Upper West Regional Police Command went in, rescued the girl. The girl is in SS now.
We've
also been
science.
That's a big story. We're also being told how Honorable Reverend Intim Forjoy is moved in there to set up a fund, so to speak. I don't think that sometimes when you set up these funds, really they are what we need. We need treatment of the root cause. So, for example, as Bright said, in bringing up, and Amma said, in bringing up our children, what kind of training do we give to them? a child does wrong in school and you pick the cane, corporal punishment, pa, 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 pa. And we've been beating children from that point on. Has it changed anything?
Well,
in my house, no one was
has
ever
it changed
clean.
anything? So
I know we turned out better than others.
If you appeal to the conscience of the
Exactly.
child, he will know. And we're too quick to call everybody uncle and auntie. We're too quick to allow our children to start calling people, oh, that is uncle, oh, that is auntie.
And those jokes that parents pass, that a man comes to your house and says, Oba no nya me worry, it's like, oh, ukununi. It doesn't happen. It should stop. Those comments just
we don't do that. They are primitive.
Yeah.
Look, we're too quick to call people auntie and uncle. So when the older person starts abusing your child, he says, oh, my uncle is doing this, so she doesn't complain. His uncle is. But really, we must know our boundaries. We must know where we go and where we can't go. I am for justice, and this young man, if he's found guilty by the law, should be properly dealt with to serve as a deterrent to other people.
What is the punishment for defilement?
We're yet to know from
the law is there.
I think it's not deterrent enough. I think some years.
It certainly isn't deterrent enough. Some people would have stopped by
some
now.
years in jail.
What is appealing about a 4-year-old girl? Shame on you.
We'll take a break at this point.
Welcome back. Let me take you all the way to the Wa area, Wa East, where Senior Bright has gone there to find out some stories. Very shocking revelation, if you ask me. The situation about their health, about sanitation, and all the other issues that you really need to know. Take a look at this.
Hey.
Daily, health workers struggle to beat time. Yet, saving lives is a duty they must perform. A poor road network hinders healthcare delivery. No two communities are joined by a tarred road in the Wa East district. Commercial vehicles ply route less. It is not profitable. Commuting from one end to the other is therefore a headache. Two water bodies separate the district. Funsi, the capital, is on one side with over 20 villages, and Gbelinga, another community with over 100 villages, on the other.
You cannot cross to the other side of the district without crossing the river. The water is low now, the tides are low, and so I can easily walk across. Motorbikes and vehicles, four-wheel drives particularly, can also cross. This will enable you to access the other part of the district.
Then the bigger of the two, the Kulien River. It takes courage to cross even at this time of the year. It is safe to cross at this time, but impossible when the river is full.
That's the scale you need to. There's a certain scale that you need to get to move the car from there. That scale is always gotten by these drivers who have worked here over and over again. This is exactly what happens here on the Kulien River every day. You sit on it, then it crosses.
Go.
But this one, it can't go.
It's to no go. It's too much. Water is too much.
Can't go up like this.
It's flowers. It's no day. It's
flower cover flowers.
Yes.
All.
It's carved.
That's
car park. This water is come. It's there.
The water.
There's the car. The park here.
It go all the way there.
Yeah,
Top.
Yeah, car park here. Water is come. It's fly.
He's trying to tell me how the river can get filled up to the extent that you won't even see the vegetation around. We parked our car about some 5 minutes drive away. He said the water can get there so that you can't even park there when the water is filled up.
Medical consumables are not delivered on time. Documents are not signed early enough. Healthcare delivery is delayed. Pregnant women who need healthcare don't get it. They sit for hours waiting for healthcare officials who turn up late.
We have to travel more distance than the other district. So time that we would have used to work is always lost as a result of long travel hours. And aside that, the risk of being on the bike is very, very, very high.
District health officials have, however, devised means to deal with the problem.
In terms of logistic provision, what we do is to provide some at that section, building a section for them, where the storekeeper will have to move from here to that place to serve them. And when there's the need for them to what we cannot provide, then we make a requisition for them to go to the medical store at the region to pick that one.
But this doesn't solve the entire problem. Their plea is for bridges to be constructed on the two water bodies.
The road network system in what is actually posing a threat to health issues in the area. Within the Fonsi township, that is the district capital, sometimes we just use the grader to sip within, but the assembly will not have that capacity to finance graveling or opening up a road to link some communities.
If central government doesn't come in, that road, that's where if you have to cross 3 big rivers before you get to those communities. And so, in fact, for the past 3 months, none of us could get there in order to render services to them. Through nobody's fault. So, if central government comes in, just open up the place, make sure the road network is available. Then, on the ground, we will also be filling up the patches there.
Quality healthcare cannot be achieved until the two separated parts of the district are linked by 2 bridges.
All right, so there you have it, the stories of the Upper West told to you in clear pictures. We'll bring you some more of these exposés as brought down by Brighton and Alpha. We'll take a break now. We'll return shortly after this. Stay with us.
Welcome back. So many of you may have heard about lupus, but you may not really understand what it means to be living with lupus. So definitely we're going to give you the platform to understand a little more about lupus, how to live with it, and how you can even identify it so you can help people who eventually are living with lupus. Joining me, I have Professor Edmund Dele. He's a dermatologist, and also Professor Judith Mills. She's a biomedical scientist, but also an advocate for people with lupus. Good morning, gentlemen and lady.
Good morning. Good morning.
So let's delve right into it. What exactly is lupus?
Well, lupus is an autoimmune disease. The word autoimmune means self-attacking, so your body is attacking itself.
Right.
So in the case of lupus, if it's not diagnosed early, it can attack your organs, major organs, your heart, your kidneys, and so on. But in the case of lupus, it's very hard to identify because the symptoms come and go. You can call it the great pretender because, you know, some experience the symptoms for a short period of time and then it disappears and then it comes back again. And the symptoms that I'm speaking of are fevers, headaches, some people get seizures, some people get skin rashes. For me, the last symptoms was the rashes, but I was experiencing a lot of fatigue. I was an athlete, and every single time I was extremely tired, which wasn't normal. But my doctor was like, well, if I'm too active, then maybe I need to take a break. But the fatigue was still there. So my main experience was fatigue, you know, and occasional fevers, and also anemia, which is some of the similar symptoms that other people get. But everybody is different.
Right.
Yeah.
But for you, you've encountered many other people living with lupus as well. How long does it take from onset of symptoms until the diagnosis? Is it something that's easily recognizable as lupus?
Well, it's not easily recognizable because it took 3 years, and I was living in the United States, and it took 3 years. So could you imagine here in Ghana? It just went, it was constant, oh, I'm anemic, so here's some iron pills, take some iron pills and you'll be fine. But the iron pills wasn't working, and my fatigue level just kept declining, and I'll wake up in the morning feeling like I've been in a fight, and when I haven't, my whole body is just aching, because lupus also attacks the joints. That's one of the major things that it does, and you feel a lot of pains in your joints, anywhere there's a joint. So even this jaw area, you can feel pain there. So it was a constant. My mom wouldn't stop. You know, I just had a mom that was dedicated, and she just kept going and going until we finally got a diagnosis. It took 3 years.
Right. But how easy is it for you to be living with lupus?
It's never easy. I know I make it look easy, but it's never easy. You know, for me, I do count myself blessed because I do have the educational background of health studies, because I did my my undergrad in biology and health studies. So, you know, I just paid attention to myself, and you know, just watching myself, the things that I do that, you know, makes me extremely tired, and, you know, food, which was major. Diet was major for me, because the traditional African diet does not support autoimmune disease, not at all, because we eat a lot of starch, for one, and oily foods. When you have an autoimmune disease, you cannot eat like that. So you have to do a lifestyle change, and the lifestyle change also have to do with diet.
Right.
Yeah.
Prof, let me come to you, because you see people with lupus, and especially the skin manifestations. How easy is it to diagnose people with lupus?
Fortunately for the dermatologist, and I've always emphasized that your face is your passport to society.
Right.
We are lucky that there is a characteristic sign of lupus on the person's face. You find out that there's erythema, redness, just on the bridge of the face and on the cheeks. So most of the patients come with what we call chronic discoid lupus. It's chronic in the sense that, as she rightly said, it takes time before you are able to make the diagnosis. So what happens is that, and as she rightly said, you might have redness on the face, then it goes off. But what makes them to come to the clinic to us, when it got to the worst part of it, then you find out that instead of having your beautiful face, just there, you have what we call thinning of the skin, atrophy. Then you find some scales around the area, and you find pigmentation, both pigmentation, hypopigmentation and hyperpigmentation. And as she rightly said, even though the skin specialist is in a position to make a rough clinical diagnosis, but it is a multi-party, multi-organ disease.
Right.
So they may, as she rightly said, in the village, somebody might have fever and they think it's malaria, or joint pains and you think it's arthritis. But it could be lupus, erythematosus, the chronic one, or systemic. And that is what she said, it affects any organ. So we, particularly in the rural areas, which where I go to, the lady is farming. And the triggers of lupus is actually the sun. And you know how people go there and stay in the sun, in the farm, for days. And it affects also the extremities. If it affects your hands, how do you function? That's why in dermatological speech we say that one of the first things the dermatologist faces is that there is disfigurement of the person involved. And this is what, and you are saying, is it easy? It's not easy, because beautiful woman like you, then you find something like a butterfly on your face, and people will ask you, what is wrong with you? And you might not be able to define it till you get in contact with somebody who is a skin specialist. But as is said all over, the whole of Black Africa, we don't even have 300 skin specialists. In Ghana, where we have a population of 25 million, we have only 20 dermatologists. And the majority of them, of course, are in the cities. They are not in the 80% of our, so it is my visit to the rural areas which makes me to feel very sad for these patients. You find them, they do farming, their hands, because of the thickening of the hands, as she said, you cannot work. And what happens is that you even want to wash, you have a problem. And with change of temperature, they feel very, very bad. You have what we call a syndrome that as soon as you face cold or something, you begin to have a lot of Reynolds syndrome. You have a lot of pain. So it is not easy at all. And already, as I said, is your passport to society. So when you have it, they are even reluctant to go and see people. They try to hide themselves because of the stigma from society.
And they're worried whether they will catch it from you. It's not contagious because it's your own body attacking itself. It's chronically happening inside of your body. So it's not something that you can give to somebody, or even if you give birth, it's only like 5% chance that your child will have it. Like, you can have children, you can try to live a normal life.
But with you've lived in the USA, and so you can put that together with those who live in Ghana and are facing this condition. How would you say it's different?
The education is different. Dr. Daly tries his best. Dr. Day, also in Kolebu, has programs that she teaches the patients on better living. Because as I said, it's a lifestyle change. Just imagine you're living a normal life that you've been living for years, and all of a sudden you have to change it. So it takes time. It really takes time. But it's self-awareness, because one thing that I do teach patients as an advocate is that it's self-care. Self-care before the doctor comes in. So you have to know the things that you do that causes you to flare up. And flare up is what we call when the lupus gets active. It's similar to when a sickle cell patient has a crisis. So in order to avoid flare-ups, you have to take certain steps. Stress is one of them, because we don't know what causes lupus. I mean, we scientists and doctors, we don't know what causes it. But we do know that there are signs and symptoms, and stress is one of them. And as you know, stress is linked to major diseases, and lupus happens to be one of them.
So how would you advise people out there who have been diagnosed, or who seemingly are in the process of being diagnosed with lupus, to live or to cope with the condition?
I mean, coping is very difficult. It was difficult for me because, I was an athlete, and I was also a dancer. And to be told that you cannot do these things anymore is quite heartbreaking. You understand? So, it's a matter of not losing hope, and still holding on to faith, because, this life that we live, we have to make choices, and sometimes the choices that we make might be for our betterment, or it wouldn't just it wouldn't be good for us. Right. So in the case of living with a chronic illness, you have to make choices as whether you want to go out with your friends or rest, because resting is something that we need. An average lupus patient need about 8 hours of rest. And I was told it's kind of difficult here in Ghana with the way the system is right here. But and this is why I come to do the advocacy, because I want people to learn that this disease is real, even though you might look like a picture of health, because that's the thing, it's a tricky disease. I can sit here, you wouldn't think that I have any issues, but medically I have issues, internal issues that might not always be physical. So that's the thing, it's very disabling. You get what I'm saying? So it's one of those disease, they call it the invisible illness. You can't really see the signs and symptoms unless it becomes chronic, and that's when you see these butterfly rashes and things appear on the skin.
Finally, concerning the medication being on NHIs, because they're very expensive. In your advocacy, what challenges have you met regarding that?
I come and the patients tell me, the creams, and even Professor Daly tells me the common Plaquenil that is used, which is an anti-malaria, is so difficult to find here. So my goal, as in coming here all the time, is trying to get statistics, which have been very difficult. Getting the statistics so we can tell the pharmaceutical companies in the U.S. that this is how much we need, this is how much they need to donate to the country, because the average working person doesn't make enough to be able to afford these drugs. So, there are alternative routes where, some doctors, MDs might disagree, but, there are homeopathic things that you can also do to keep yourself, which is something I also do besides seeing my doctor. So, the common thing that you can do on a daily basis as a lupus patient is putting coconut oil on your skin, virgin organic coconut oil, to avoid the sun rays, because coconut oil is the best skin protection that you can, use for your skin, because these sunscreen are, number one, very expensive in the stores. And then they have chemicals in there that, exactly, and I do not, agree with them, because, what you are what you eat. So why put things on your skin that you can't even eat, So if coconut oil is accessible, why not use coconut oil? Yeah.
Anyway, guys, I'm sure you heard a little about lupus that will stir up your will to actually study more about it and know how to live with the condition and better yourself. Anyway, I've been speaking to Professor Edmond Dele. He's a dermatologist, and also Professor Mills. She's a biomedical scientist and an advocate for people with lupus. That's all time will give us. We'll be back. Stay here with us on New Day.
Right. Ghanaian Times begins the morning and says that war against Galamsey. Task force destroys 1,859 machines. Arrest 815 Galamseyers in last 3 months. That's a story on the Times. Heritage says deadly clashes between Fulani herdsmen and farmers. 15 killed in Kwawu. The story, the biggest story. The Ghanaian Times has a story. 4-year-old girl's defilement angers president, and Ghana loses $10,000 to GMOs. That's the Business Day paper. My guest this morning, the Member of Parliament for the Asin South constituency, a member of the NPP, Reverend Johnny Timfocho. Good morning.
Good morning.
I hope you're doing great.
I'm doing very well. Yourself?
I'm good too. Thanks so much for joining us. Now, let's take a look at this story in the Ghanaian Times quickly. The story on page 4 says 4-year-old girl's defilement. The president is angry. President Anado Dankwa Akufo-Addo has expressed outrage at the defilement of a 4-year-old girl at Asin Adadientim in the central region, and has ordered that justice be secured for the victim. The Minister of Parliamentary Affairs and Majority Leader Osechi Mensah-Bonsu disclosed this on Friday after receiving a petition from the Alliance for Women in Media Africa, a campaign group demanding justice for the victim. In Cabinet, the President was outraged and has directed the Minister for the Interior that everything possible within the remit of the law is done to secure justice for the girl. That's the story. The petition was signed by a leading female media practitioners, some of them, Araba Kumsin, Messia Jabing, and Shemaima Muslim, among others. The group said the state must not fail her, that's the victim, and many others, suffering in pain and anger as a result of sexual attacks. The story goes on, and the president is said to have asked for the right thing to be done. Reverend Fojo, let's start. This is within your background. Is anybody trying to cover up this?
Yeah, good morning once again. Thank you for the opportunity to be here, and a good morning to our cherished viewers. And my greetings to the good people of Asin South who are doing the viewing today. Right. And to assure them that whatever may have happened is being handled and to have justice served. I noted this incident with sadness. My heart was broken, as a father, to hear that your daughter has been handled in the manner that was done. It was most heartbreaking for me. And I quickly had to ensure that her health is secured, and that, the necessary bills are taken care of, the necessary health attention is given to her, and then the family is taken good care of. I had to ensure that quickly she's relocated from the village where the incident occurred for very prudent reasons. And then following after, I had to even relocate her again. As we speak, I have taken her, relocated her to Accra. And we are doing this in close collaboration with Honorable Otiko Jaba, the Minister for Gender and Social Protection. And we are ensuring that we would ensure she's taken very good care of, and justice is served. As I speak to you, yesterday, after the visit I paid to the family to ensure everything was going on well. Subsequent to that, the Minister of Gender and Social Protection, Honorable Tiko Jaba, has also paid a visit, and then we are collaborating so well with the state agencies. The suspect has been apprehended, and we are told that he's a minor. And so the necessary applicable judicial processes would also begin, and the trials will begin, obviously through a juvenile tribunal. We would ensure that we'll follow through and ensure justice is served. And it is very sad what has happened over the last 2 weeks, and to say that President Akufo-Addo is also very committed. We were told by the Majority Leader and Minister for Parliamentary Affairs that this discussion found eminent expression in cabinet discussions, and President is following closely developments following this. Thankfully, we have the IGP also committed, and the Central Regional Police Command supporting ably the Asin for Divisional Police Command to ensure that all these pockets of issues are handled in a manner that is prudent. Now, I must also, acknowledge the eminent role that the media played in unraveling some of these incidents and in playing a lead advocacy role. The media across Ghana, especially Joy FM that broke the news. We are grateful for the support, and the CSOs and NGOs, ALMA, the Alliance for Women Media, Africa, and every individual who has supported us. And I think if we are to collaborate in a manner that we have begun, we will be able to fully eradicate the menace of defilement and rape that is trending across Ghana, not only in Asensa. The figures are alarming.
Yes.
If I'm to go through just briefly
figures
with you, between 2010 and 2014 alone, Ghana recorded 5,752 cases of children that were defiled. And right, these are just the ones that were reported.
Right.
You see, and there were many that failed to be reported because prior to reporting, you need to have a medical, examination that certifies that yes, indeed, something has happened and abuse has occurred. How many people and how many of these vulnerables living in deprived communities can afford even the medical bill? In that instance, so it stops there.
So
justice stops there.
This
Fundamentally,
one
so
in your
we all need to take
constituency
steps.
could have been covered up. I mean, looking at the story told so far about the fact that there were even a situation where we're told that the community said the gods of the community had pronounced the alleged the suspect innocent. So there could have been a cover-up.
Yeah, there were, in the media reportage, I'm pleased that they were very fair in their reportage. One side was taken, and subsequent to that, they covered another side where the chief, they had opportunity to engage the chief, where he expressed that he had not taken any such action and that he was waiting for the law to take its course. But I find some elements of irresponsibility and negligence, because as a leader,
on the part
of the
leadership
chief,
of
on
the
the part
area.
of that particular chief in question,
right?
Because you cannot say that you're waiting for medical report to come to ascertain. You as a leader, when such a case was first brought to your attention, you needed to take action, even take the child to the appropriate place to seek attention and then report it appropriately. But that was not done, and that is where my frustration starts. You see, so the failure started from there, and we are raising awareness with the chiefs, the teachers, opinion leaders, pastors, religious leaders, to ensure that we come to the aid of these vulnerables who are voiceless, even at the grassroots, and then the law takes its course. But again, also very important, as I'm proposing, I'm calling that if there's a way that health insurance can absorb the costs of any such cases, such that if anyone makes such a report, it is not going to be the cost of the person, then that barrier will be removed. And then because as soon as the case is reported to the hospital, there is no way to be covered. And in this particular case, it was reported to the hospital before the media came in. So obviously, this case was not going to be covered because the hospital, as per their ethical procedures and protocols, will have to be, even if the family failed, even if the family failed to report, he would have, the medical officer in charge would have reported the same matter to the police. Now again, the police also, there are some lapses in the initial processes, and we must tackle this and draw lessons in going forward. There was a clear delay of about 5 days, and then when the matter came to light, the excuse given was that the parents or the plaintiff, the one who reported the case, failed to go back to lead them to
go and effect the arrest.
But see, there were other incidents that occurred.
If it's a case, can we leave the case in the hands of the local police that is handling it, or you think there should be a transfer to the national?
So following, when all these things came to light, we quickly had a commitment from IGP, which he commanded the Central Regional Commander to quickly take over the case, which he did, and the whole case took a turn. And all these, developments that we are seeing, positive development we are seeing now in the process of serving justice, came up as a result of the commitment that the IGP also came in. Now the case has taken a very good turn, and then I'm very confident that we're on a good path of serving justice and ensuring that the due course
is done. What about protecting the child and the family, the mother? They could be targets of attack.
Exactly, and that is a very important point, and that was my first focus when I sadly heard the news, and so quickly the first thing I did was to relocate them from the village where it occurred. Obviously, they will be living in the same village with the suspect, which would not be healthy. So I relocated them to another town and then ensured that they were decently accommodated and gave them meals, because relocating them from their village, they'll be unable to access their farm for foodstuff. So I gave them foodstuff, I paid their medical bills, and give them stipends, and ensure that they were taken good care of in a safe environment. But even in furtherance to that, I have relocated them to Accra. And they are in Accra as we speak.
And the real protection.
In close collaboration with the Minister of Gender, and they're giving them some accommodation that is going to give them good protection and a very conducive for their dwelling, and then the next steps that are also going to be taken care of. But see, one thing that struck me, and she's my daughter, as a father, and every intervention that I have been able to exert in this case was premised on the fact that I'm a father, not as a member of parliament or politician.
I mean, the area.
It is because I'm a father. I have a daughter also, you see, and my heart was broken to hear that. And in engaging with my daughter, the victim, she tells me she wants to become a police officer when she grows up. She's 4 and she's not even enrolled in school yet. So all that is my responsibility, to ensure that every step that is taken to ensure that my little daughter realizes her dream. It is a personal commitment, and I know that stakeholders would also help. But I must acknowledge the very prudent support that I have enjoyed from the state. The police, the Ministry of Gender and Social Protection have been great support, and I must applaud them.
All right.
Yeah, much as where there are lapses, we are quick to draw the attention to. I must also be grateful to point out that they have been very helpful in handling this case.
And you lead the crusade to get justice for her.
Yes, justice is being served. As I indicated, the suspect has been apprehended. And I'm personally committed to ensuring I follow through until the conclusion. And not only this, any other similar incident related, any that border on criminality, we will have to solve them comprehensively. And this is not a problem for us in South. Like I gave you the figures.
It's a national problem.
5,752 cases were reported between 2010 and 2014 in Ghana. It's a national problem. We all admit it. Now, as certain cases seem to have come to light, and I condemn. There's no defense in this. We are guilty, and we apologize for that. But again, we would have to take it, a comprehensive view, and every strategy that we're using to fight this in a sense out must be a comprehensive fight across Ghana to ensure we come to a point, not tomorrow, it must be today. We must eradicate the menace of defilement and rape cases today, not tomorrow. We can't defer this. And it is possible. We can win that fight together.
I'm grateful. The Heritage this morning says deadly clashes between Fulani herdsmen and farmers, 15 killed in Kwawu. We're told that 15 people have been killed this year in the Kwawu East District of the Eastern Region due to protracted dispute between farmers and Fulani herdsmen. Of this number, 6 people were killed between Sunday, October 22 and Thursday, October 26. The Ghana Police Service has dispatched over 100 armed police officers to the affected communities to enforce law and order. The Public Relations Officer of the Eastern Regional Police Command, ASP Ebenezer Tete, said the 6 people were killed in separate incidents within 5 days. The PRO said the police is yet to make any arrest, Meanwhile, the Eastern Regional Police Commander, DCOP Afeku, the Regional Crime Officer, and the Kwawu East District Security Council have held a stakeholders meeting on the recent incident at Abetifi. Reacting to the disturbing development, the Member of Parliament for the area, Mr. Brian Champong, who is also the Minister of State at the Presidency, said the people are not angry enough and there is so much a Member of Parliament can do. I need the support of the people, and people must be angry. The people themselves must be angry because we cannot sit down for these things to continue to happen all the time. That's from the Member of Parliament for the area. The Fulani herdsmen debacle, are we toying with it, or perhaps we are not ready to stop it?
In respect of the Fulani menace, it isn't today that we are unfortunately recording some of these loss of lives.
Right.
But the question that I'm interrogating is, how many of these lives are we waiting to be lost before assertive actions are taken to actually contain, to bring an end to this? We are aware, state agencies are aware, and we know where the solution lies. So why has it not been done all these years? Why has it not been done all these years? Going into it, there are various sections of stakeholders that may be found culpable. That may be found culpable in this menace. And as a society, with the commitment to eradicate some of these developments, is a collective, responsibility. And I'm calling on the state agencies. They are capable, and I believe in their capabilities and capacity. They have what it takes to ensure that we end this menace.
In the story, the BNI is complaining of vehicles. The police are complaining also of same, and so logistics to fight the herdsmen are not there. That's why perhaps we might not be making any inroads.
Yeah, when it comes to various excuses that may be made for which certain problems are not being solved, partly one may agree with them, but I disagree. Because in sub-Saharan Africa, most countries would certainly not have enough resources to be able to adequately resource them in the optimum, to the optimum levels that we see to. But it's a matter of priority and commitment. The resources that are available now, how has it been exerted in ensuring that this menace comes to an end, for instance? So yes, they have a good point to call for more logistics and additional resources to be able to fight this head on. But what is currently available? How has it been prioritized and channeled towards this? So we must see it as a problem that is fast emerging and developing, and we do not have to wait for it to escalate to certain proportions before what needs to be done is done. So this is something that I'm calling on all relevant state agencies, the Ministry of Interior, to lead this particular commitment, to ensure that this will be a narrative of the past. And that's going forward. You see, there are other jurisdictions who have much larger levels of production of cattle, for instance, and we don't hear some of the how was the policy direction in those areas? How was such business regulated and structured? In a way that does not result in some of these unfortunate violence. We have a lot of benchmarking to do and a lot of commitment to show in moving forward to ensure that in our 21st centuries, we will not be raising cattle in a manner that is done now.
Can we continue to dialogue? I mean, like you said, this is not the first time. The last time it happened, the Fulani herdsmen themselves talked about establishing cattle ranches where these cattle can be fed. So can we continue dialoguing, or you seem to hear from the inhabitants, we will fight them if we don't get the support to remove them? How do we do it? Dialogue or what?
We don't need dialogue. The state must take responsibility.
Get rid of them.
The state must take action, enforce laws, and ensure that the appropriate things are done. If we have to leave things in the hands of frustrated, helpless farmers and local residents, we are going to lose control. And that certainly would not be the way to go. And that is why I'm feeling that the Ministry of Interior will have to engage and a collaboration with the Ministry of Food and Agriculture. Let us fashion our policies. How have people succeeded, even in higher levels of such production, in their narrative? And what lessons can we draw from? And vis-a-vis security measures that are put in place to curb that menace?
All right, let's wrap up with this one. The Times says the task force destroys 1,859 machines, arrest 815 galamseyers in last 3 months. The story says about 1,859 equipment and machines, popularly called shamfan, belonging to illegal miners, have been seized and destroyed by Operation Vanguard. That's the task force set up by government to deal with illegal mining. Lieutenant Colonel Day, who is in charge of operations, announced that 815 illegal miners, also called galamseyers, have also been arrested in the last 3 months. This was at a town meeting at Kenyase number 1 in the Sutifi North district of the Bunafo region. He stated, among other things, that their mandate was to end galamsey, which was fast destroying water bodies and the environment as a whole, as well as temporarily halting small-scale mining while government streamlined the activities. He spoke on and on, commended the media for the support. Of course, this fight is on. But 1,800 machines destroyed, 815 miners, illegal miners arrested. We may be winning this fight.
Yeah, in respect of the war against galamsey, yes, I accept it. I agree with how it's been captioned. It is war. Because, see, until very strong efforts are exerted at stopping a menace that we all widely acknowledge as inimical even to posterity, we would not be able to succeed. And so I fully support, and I call on all stakeholders to support this fight and to even applaud the support we've enjoyed from the media, from various stakeholders so far. And we are making inroads, and we must be consistent at that. Because, right, see, we owe it to our unborn generations a decent and potable drinking water. Right. We owe it to them a sustainable resources that they have a share in the minerals that we have in Ghana. They have a share in the beautiful timber and the forestry that we have in Ghana. They have a legitimate share in the river bodies that we see today. And how are they going to, in what state are they going to meet, these resources that we all have been blessed with and endowed with? And what excuse are we going to give? That in our quest to exploit same, we did so in a manner that was not responsible, in a manner that was not sustainable, in a manner that was destructive. I mean, no one is against mining. No one is against one having livelihood. But what we are saying is that we must do so sustainably and responsibly. So that whilst we are making ends meet, we are also with recourse to future generations. It is recourse even in providing safe environment even for our current dwelling. And the assessment that have been done by experts, and even recounting how many years it would take for our bastardized waters and polluted waters to regenerate. It's serious. But it is good that we have started from somewhere, and I'm pleased to know the developments that we are making. And I would urge on the stakeholders that are at the forefront of this war that we can win this fight together, and we should be consistent and maintain our commitment. And one day we would ensure we would have a narrative that would say that galamsey illegal mining is a thing of the past.
All right,
just before we go, it's just still in line with my daughter who has been unfortunately defiled, and many other daughters of mine across Ghana who have suffered same and could not even have a voice. Like my daughter has fortunately found a voice. But to state that she's doing very well as we speak, there will be some psychiatrists and psychological therapy we are arranging for her as well. But see, Jesus says something in Matthew chapter 19 verse 14 that let these little ones come unto me unhindered, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. And if we appreciate that a profound statement that was made by Jesus, children will be people that in all our decisions, in all our actions, will have great respect for, will have great protection for, and resist any such temptation of abusing them. And according to reports, most of these cases, in about 5,752 cases, were perpetrated by people who were either family members or close relations, people that were trusted, and it is sad. So we should do a lot more. We will tackle it head on. We have within the framework of the rule of law, and the chiefs, traditional leaders, and the pastors, religious leaders, the teachers especially, because teachers spend more time with our kids than we parents have. Let us educate our youth and the other people even in the way that they can even protect themselves. And I'm expecting that NCCE would also join in. Let us raise awareness about this, how our vulnerables can even, and how parents can also take good care of their children, not to leave them in unattended to. And again, most of these cases were also reported to have been perpetrated by very responsible men, and we would want to see men actually living up to what we all expect them to be as fathers of society, and not be the ones
to destroy
to be
society.
culpable for this.
I'm grateful. Reverend Tim Forge was a member of Parliament for the Ascent South constituency, a member of the NPP. Felix Kwachofoso of the NDC came in, but came in late, and that's why he could not join us. We're grateful. If you sent in your comments, Johnny will be reading them in the course of the show. Thanks so much for your time. Stay with us. There's more coming up.
Last Saturday, Media General chalked 5 awards. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And it was because of the exploits that we do here. I've been joined this morning by Alfred Okansi, who is the reigning male newscaster of the year. Usually you find him, my name is Alfred Okansi. Alfred, good morning.
Morning to you.
And Richard Ahiable is the group head of corporate affairs at Media General. I not nearly said director of communications at the Flagstaff House. Welcome, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thank you. This is glorious. It is very impressive. You were out there in the crowd and sitting from a very exalted position. What was running through your mind when the awards was ongoing?
I think for me, we went there knowing very well that the great work our teams have done and the support we've had from our audience, our viewers and our listeners, I was very confident we were going to pick some of the most prestigious awards on the night.
Right.
And that's exactly what we did.
Exactly. So you tell me about the awards we won, but congratulations to you, Alfred.
Congratulations to you too.
Congratulations.
I should be congratulating you too. You are also an award winner.
Yeah, man, Charlie.
An award-winning community policeman.
Yeah, so Bolaman, let's say they call me. But congratulations to you. I mean, it's been close to a year, or maybe a bit more, doing News 360, and you've been awarded the Male Newscaster of the Year. It's a tough terrain.
Sure.
How did you feel on the night when you were announced as the winner?
I felt very fulfilled. I mean, that's for the lack of better expression. The reason is, before the awards, I said that everybody who's been nominated in that category deserves that nomination. And the nomination was even enough for us, I mean, to get to know that whatever we were doing was recognized and we were touching lives. I've said that we've moved from the era of just reading the news to the era of anchoring and telling the news. And you don't just sit to read what has been written on a prompter or on a sheet for the viewers to be able to follow, but you are also in the news. So that's why, sometimes you would have people say you're being too passionate about the news that you read. The reason is that there should be some nexus, some connection between what you're reading and what the situation really is. So I spoke to you. I mean, I was with you before the event.
Exactly.
And I said that I remain confident, whatever the case might be. The nomination was good enough a motivation for me to spur me on.
Right.
Yeah.
Richard, tell us about the awards that we won. 5 of them, 2 for radio and 3 for television. Right. Tell me about them quickly.
So, I mean, you've mentioned 2 of them already. So on the night, we picked the award for Best Radio Development Program of the Year for Community Connect, which you host.
Exactly.
I should be asking you how you feel about that. You should.
How did you feel?
Well, I felt like the Anturemi. It was a good feeling. I must say, just as Alfred has said, that the folks in the category, or my co-contenders, were heavyweights as well in the industry. In Bauman FM, there's a lady from Peace FM, in Shirai FM also, and then there's John Jermaine. and so to win that category was a very tough one, and I'm sure the judges had a lot of work to do in that category. But it also goes to endorse the fact that the public, the voting public, they have endorsed what we do. They like it. We're scratching them where they itch, and they believe in what we do. And so this will spur us on to do even, greater works. So we're excited about it. But tell us, the other three.
So the other four, you mean?
The other four.
So Alfred won the newscaster male category. We're extremely proud of Alfred for such a remarkable achievement. Of course, radio, 3FM is new, relatively 2 years old. To be able to pick 2 awards on the night is phenomenal. So aside the award, we Miriam Osei-Agyemang, the real queen of the airwaves, that's what I call her. She won the radio mid-morning show of the year.
For Urban Blend.
For Urban Blend. That is a huge, huge, huge achievement. Honestly, that category was one of the most competitive, if you ask me. And it wasn't just female, but it's both male and female presenters, and she came top. So we're extremely proud of her. TV3, of course, News 360 has led the way from day one. 20 years ago when we started broadcasting, News 360 has evolved over time. Still the #1 most watched TV primetime news program, and it won the news program of the year. So huge congratulations to every single employee of Media General, the newsroom, the technical guys, every single one of you who made this awards possible.
The captain of the newsroom here at TV3, Joseph Warungu, formerly of the BBC, and Matilda Haynes as well, and the rest of the team working on that bench.
Yes, and the final award, which is one that really touches my heart, is the fact that we won the local TV series of the year for Jamestown Fisherman. We've always been a proud promoter of local content, and for me, this was extremely important that we picked this award. It speaks to what we do here as Media General. We'll continue to churn out and support local content because it is extremely important to develop the industry, but also to promote the work of our own people. So these were the 5 awards we won on the night, and we should all be extremely proud we were able to pick this award. And I want to say again on behalf of management and the board, want to say congratulations to the team here at TV3, at 3FM, Unu FM, all our subsidiaries. But I want to dedicate these awards to our viewers. And to our listeners.
Absolutely.
It is them that keep us going. It is through their hard work they voted for us, but they keep us as the #1 media organization in this country, and we want to applaud them for that. We want to say big thank you. So these awards are yours.
Alfred, thank you very much, Richard. Alfred, so I must say that 2 are for you, because 1, 360, and then the male newscaster of the year. What does the succeeding year hold for us? I mean, I've been asked that question. I won't answer it to you. You would answer it because I'm hosting you.
Well, you see, we will take the position of asking you that.
No, I'm asking you now.
Because in this end, you're also an award winner. Johnny, congratulations to you.
Thank you.
Once again. I must say that those 2 awards you referred to are for the team. I choose to say they're for the team because what I do as a news anchor on News 360, I do the end work of a lot of hard work by a lot of people. So you have a very enthusiastic and fantastic news team that is passionate about what we're doing, and they have energy to deliver, and anytime I walk into the newsroom, after 4 p.m. when I'm done with radio, I see that enthusiasm, there's a certain passion to want to beat the level of expectation that people have. So they are telling the stories from very interesting and different angles. There's always the mundane path that everybody else would take to tell the story a certain way. What makes TV3 News stand out is the angle that we take a story. So everybody else will be telling the same story, but we bring out something different that tells the story that way. So I'll say that those 2 awards, the one for 360 and the one for the news anchor, is for the team. What I do gather from the team after Saturday is that this is a great encouragement and motivation for us for the next 365 days ahead of us. Nothing short of excellence, and we're going to deliver. The next year, I won't be surprised if the whole table will be lined up with more awards.
So of course, luckily for us, we have a horseshoe, so
absolutely
it will be easy to. But closing thoughts from you, Mr. Ahiableh, as we go. What does this mean for Media General, and indeed for the vision that we have, in the coming years?
So, Johnny, I think for us and for our viewers, they should expect nothing but absolutely the best. We're going to be delivering the best content, be it in news, be it in entertainment, be it in the promotion of local content. They should watch out for exciting programs. We have absolutely fantastic local content programs coming up in the coming weeks, so they should watch out. But for us as a company, Media General, and all our affiliates, including 3FM, Onua FM, Connect FM in Takoradi, and Akuma in Kumasi, and of course our digital platform, MG Digital, we aim to take over the industry, not only in Ghana, but across Africa. So these awards are basically, they are going to push us to do more, and we'll be delivering absolutely nothing but the best for our audience.
Nothing but the best, so says the Head of Corporate Affairs here at Media General, Mr. Richard Ahiableh. For those you know, I wear two hats, but Alfred, I think it's just in order that we do the school's anthem, so that those out there will know that we went to a good school and that we're properly trained, so Mr. Ahiableh, for example, can know and perhaps take a cue and send his children there. Shall we?
Which one?
Academy upright, the school of no regret. In our little minds worship to serve our nation great.
Welcome back. I'm sure you enjoyed that discussion Johnny had concerning RTP Awards. Obviously, you put us out there. We're very grateful.
I don't know why Coco didn't make us finish the anthem. I mean, we've had families of people asking questions.
You wanted to sing the second, the third, and perhaps the fourth.
No, just the last one. The last part is sweeter.
Okay, we'll give you the chance. Give us one line of that one.
Anyway, so our campaign for children with cerebral palsy is on, and throughout, we'll keep speaking until we find a lasting solution to it. Children with cerebral palsy, inclusive education for them, that's what we're calling for. It's a NewDay campaign here with all our partners, our sister stations, 3FM 92.7, Onua 95.1, Connect 97.1, Akuma 87.9, TV3, and 3news.com. We're doing this together, and until somebody in authority sees this, a Minister for Education, Minister for Gender, Children and Social Protection, and Mr. President, Office of the President, Office of the First Lady, we want you to bring help to these people, because their parents are really suffering, and we need some help for them. So this is it.
Great. I think that education authorities are doing quite well. If you go to the 3 northern regions, and particularly for the Upper West, who I visited, you find all these kids in school now. What is left is convincing the community, the parents, not to hide them in the rooms, but to send them to school.
Are they in a specialized school, or they've been bunched together?
The GES is now talking about inclusive education.
Well, but
I found
the policy's been there for 10 years of inclusive education. So now if we have all of them bumped into one, I mean, you know that they have difficulties, they have challenges.
Exactly.
Their ability to understand and all of that is a bit hampered. Now if you put all of them together, we're not helping them. Are we doing that because we want just to put them through the system, or we want them to go through and achieve something?
The GS, if some of the stories we'll be telling, you see some of these kids in the classrooms and how they're faring. GS says that, look, we don't have the infrastructure. What we have is that we have people with the training, the required training to handle them. But the infrastructure we don't have. So at this point, what we're doing is to start them in the regular schools. So you go to a classroom. There was a boy I met at one of the schools at Kurupong. Kurupong is very close to Wa, just about 2 hours drive. Now, he's not even a registered people. His parents have brought him to school. He has autism, so he attends school all right, but his name is not in the register. But he's there. So what they have done is to try and take care of him. There are a couple of others I saw at other places. So somehow, some way, there is some hope. They
should legitimize it. Yes.
The infrastructure is not there.
The parents are asking for three things. One, they're asking that, well, at least then include us in training the children, because we know them. So employers set up the centers and let's get into it. Or get nurses who are unemployed, who have already some medical training. Get them that physiotherapy, and psychological training, so that they can come and deal with the situation. Or set up special schools and have them entirely taken care of. So these are the three claims that they are making.
Because like you said, your inclusive, the example you've given of inclusive education covers only those like with autism or a milder form of a spectrum. And so they're easily, you can handle them in school. But for cerebral palsy children, those who cannot be toilet trained, or those who cannot really sit for themselves in a regular chair, probably have to even lie down whilst in class and all that, those facilities haven't been made available. And really, it's not too much they're asking for. Because for me, for a mother whose child is not toilet trained, all she's asking is, take that out of the criteria for which you admit my child, allow my child to be in diapers. I'll provide the diapers, actually. Just make sure there's also someone who can change the diapers as regularly as needed. And I think that's legitimate. That should be looked at.
Of course, it's true. One other thing, in fact, the regional director of education in Upper West himself is a special trained teacher. He has skills in that. One thing they're doing at the basic level is that what you do is that every child at the basic level is screened for special needs, whether you show the signs or not. So you're screened even before you're admitted. This is to allow those who have special needs to be attended to. So I saw, from what I saw in a way, some effort to get to support parents. The Upper West region is the only region that has 3 schools for the special child.
That's
impressive. There's the school of the blind, the deaf, and then there's a third one.
That's impressive.
Very large schools I saw there. So,
Mr. Nabraj, I think that the people, and not to take anything away from professionals who practice in cities, but those who accept the challenge to go into the hinterland, they need support because they have a bigger heart. Look at the situations you are narrating to me and compare that to any that we have anywhere in the city, and you find that, sometimes a math teacher comes, does all the scribbling, and then they ask, do you understand? Yes, sir. If you tell the teacher you don't understand, it means that wabong, you are not good, and so you are sidelined, and that's not good. We need to get away from those things. So yes, we're trying, we're doing some work, but we need to be legitimate about it. Legitimate, have special schools for these people, and you may never know what they will become. Never, ever know what they will become. Some have musical talent, some will become politicians, some will become lawyers. It doesn't matter. They have a potential, and it is not their fault that they are in that situation. So throughout, until we get help, we will never ever stop. Inclusive education for children with cerebral palsy, and it's a NewDay initiative here on TV.
And I think people who should be actively charting this course also are women, whether you have a child or not, because really you are the one who would give birth, and you could have a child in this situation. It would be good to know there's a structure in place that will cater for that unborn child who may end up having cerebral palsy, rather than thinking, because it's not close to me, I'll wait until it's my turn to add my voice to it. Let's all speak about this, because really these children, if you've worked with any of them, they're amazing. Every child is a gift from God, so we should do the little we can to provide for them, in as much as we do same for ourselves out there.
I must say though, and that I used to play in a band, and we used to have one of such special people come around. He doesn't train, but he can listen to what you're playing,
catch up on what you do,
catch up and play the solos.
Exactly that.
At some point when he doesn't feel like it, you would try and do everything he would. But then when he gets up, whatever you're playing, he will play it for you. And there's a man who has not sat in any music class, but just by listening and observing, he does it. So they have potential. They do.
Do you remember I think they are done professionals band? They're all blind.
Yes, yes.
Great guys.
But I'm sure Tilapia has something for us. Yes, Tilapia has this for us. So last Saturday, something very interesting happened on a NewDay show. And Alasan Suhini, Honorable MP for Tamale, is it Tamale North?
Tamale North, yes.
Okay, Tamale North. And it says, if you know the Kwesi Butcher report is fake, then produce the original report. That looks like Abuna with the microphone to his face. And Alasan Suhini says, well, you are wearing a white photo. If you know it's not true, show it to me. It's received a lot of flack on social media. Some think, well, the comment is sexist. Some think it was inappropriate. I don't know what you think, but let the debate continue. This is how Tilapia chose to put it. We'll see you. We'll see you again tomorrow. I thank you. I thank you very much for this. And TV3 Media General, we're grateful. Thank you for voting for us.
We'll see you same time tomorrow. But the fight against sexual harassment and assault is still out
there. That's right. That's right.
Justice for any girl child.
Yeah. Particularly justice for her.
Yeah, justice for her.
Baby, make you the steady up,